is everybody today? And what is that noise behind me? I don't see any cats acting up. Might be somebody upstairs. I'm gonna need to get a new X-Acto blade though. I hadn't noticed that mine has developed a crack right there on the barrel, so it keeps loosening on me. Maybe tomorrow I'll run out to one of the shops and grab one in the morning. How you doing, Aries? Finally getting around to painting the chaparral. Gonna have to empty my garbage can today too. I guessed that and almost got it perfectly dead on. Can today get any luckier? At least I'm not starting muted today, right? Did you get your lawn mowed? I need a really thin strip to go along there. The proper scooters? Or do you mean the pooper scoopers? My brother is messaging me. FYAC, what? FYAC or? No, just to put some tape on the backside so no overspray gets in there. I'm going to be painting it sand. but you'll be able to see some of the inside through here. Fuck you, autocorrect. Gotcha. So I want to shoot it with the right green color first. So as you're looking through it into here, you'll see the green frame and stuff. Frankie did start the stream out on the back of the chair, but he got down. I guess he heard somebody upstairs making food and just decided that was more important. Yes, it is, Alex. And how are you? Going to be doing it up similar to the one that you find all the pictures of in Desert Storm, where it was painted sand with like the 4 sea bags on the front and stuff. I'm using that as inspiration, but I'm not copying that exactly. And depending on how this goes, I might lay in the basic NATO 3-color camouflage on this in preparation for hairspray technique. And then I'll put sand over it and remove the sand, because I've got a couple neat pictures of one that has that going on, where it was hastily painted sand and it's wearing off. Do what? Love it when I'm not? What? Yeah, but just search M270 Desert Storm and you'll see the exact one I'm talking about. So right now I'm going to paint this, the interior of the turret and the driver's compartment, in forest green. It's not so much rules and regulations, it's just like doing my own thing. I want to get Eve done sooner rather than later, but I noticed that the green on her was still soft, for lack of other words, and it was picking up fingerprints more than I liked. So I'm gonna let her sit probably a week just to make sure that green gets fully cured, and then we'll get back to her. Now, by the time Desert Storm rolled around, a lot of these would have been... Ah, gotcha. A lot of these would have been in NATO 3 color. There was one at a flea market in my hometown that I got to take pictures of a long time ago, which I've lost since. And it was there with a soft-top Humvee in NATO 3 color. But I figure I'd just do this in sand, and then probably just do some chipping. The one in the picture is really clean looking, so I don't want to go too stupid crazy with it. And I kind of want to play around with sand tones a bit and weather them some more. It's been a while since I've done just a singular color model. So how have you been? I should be on tomorrow as well. Having 2 days off in a row. Part of me wanted to get on early today, but instead I said screw it and just decided to take my time and just enjoy the day a little bit, you know. Had breakfast, played with the cats, cleaned up the hobby room, watched some videos. Depending on how these go today, I may endeavor to be on earlier tomorrow. But that's kind of the great thing about this is it's a hobby. I can pick it up and put it down when I like. I love having you guys as an audience, but at the same time, the past couple of years have just told me that I really need to be doing things for myself first, you know? Okay. Music okay for you guys today? Now, I don't know how I'm going to mask off... Actually, I do know how I'm going to mask off the turret, and it's simpler than I thought. Since I've already got the glass masked, you'll see. It's a stroke of genius. Hey, Flight Sim. So I did a thing the other day. I splurged. Ares talked me into it. But I have a 35th scale trumpeter hind on the way to me. Either 35th or 32nd. I forget which one it is. I will be doing the alien hind. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, just Google check Air Force alien hind. Thank you for the bits, Flight Sim.
Flight Sim Resi Sim 88 Cheers Dex 245.
Wow, it can't say race sim. Thank you for the bits. Every little helps. Alright. No bleeding. That turned out perfectly. And the 3 best friends. Watch Bob Marley. That's kind of where I am. And I've said before, I don't want to mean to sound like an a-hole, but sometimes we just got to take care of ourselves, you know? That may stay on there well enough for what I need to do paint-wise. For this, I'm probably just going to put a piece of masking tape over that loosely, or just try and paint around it a little bit, because that's not dry enough yet. Actually, since that's not dry enough yet, let's give it some time to dry. We'll finish base coating the rest of the panels of the Humvee in NATO green and get it ready too. And I got some touch-ups to do on the interior regardless, so... yeah, we'll shake that up a bit more. Yesterday it was snowing. Yep. Humvee pictures up so I can kind of get an idea where I want to go with this. I believe this variant is called the 966. So this is kind of what I'm going to go for. Let me take a picture of it so I can show you. Come on. Hey Kenneth, but you can see how the base camo is starting to show through the sand as the sand's getting washed and worn off. So that is going to be the end result for this one. So for right now I'm going to base it in NATO green. While that dries, we'll get back to the chaparral. And yes, NATO green is different from forest green. There was a short time where a few Humvees got put out into the wild, and they were wearing forest green base camos. But that was very early in their production run in '86. After that, they were almost exclusively released in the NATO green 3-color camo until the 1990s and the first Gulf War. How are things in Georgia? And yes, I know that this particular kit does not have the correct hood vent for the radiator. There was no option for the armored louvers, which it should have. And I'm still going to apply the camouflage properly, even though it's going to be mostly overcoated, because when I do the hairspray technique, I don't know how it's going to wear off when I start doing the wear process. So I need the option of the flexibility that would give me. Yeah, it was snowing here yesterday. It's cold and windy today. Supposed to be raining or snowing. We're waiting on the weather to decide what it wants to do. Now, it's a nitpicky point, but if anyone wants to do anything modern, and it's got this weapon system on it, the tow missile system, while the vehicle is finished in NATO green, these would actually be finished in an olive drab color similar to Tamiya's olive drab. I must be going crazy today. I was 13 in '90, so not much older than you. This originally started out as a 50 caliber vehicle. The kit came with parts for both. I was going to do it the one way at first, but decided to change it to the tow missile version. Ah, shoot. Gotta reload. Yeah, Denmark, their green isn't exactly NATO green, but NATO green by Tamiya works in a pinch, especially after you weather it. Maybe punch up the green aspect of it a hair more, or you can cloud over after if you're painting it yourself with some forest green. Again, just to punch up the pine needle green look, you know. France is the same way. Their vehicles don't use the NATO standard colors, but they still use the green, brown, and black. I believe Denmark is just green and black, just like England. because you can probably see, I don't know if the camera picks it up, but the forest green is slightly greener than NATO green, which is a bit more of a drab brown. But I hope everybody's having a good Sunday. I want to try and get a couple of these older projects out of the way. Yes, it is Flight Sim. I'll get into the story on this in a minute. Frankie, come on. Come on. Hey, Skeldcrafts, how you doing? Long time no see. Oh yeah, well the Barracuda netting, like, if it was made exclusively in your country for your purposes, you could basically custom make it as needed. But when you're buying the system, then yeah, you have to buy what everybody else has. Frankie, where'd you go? Aw, I want to kitty up. Part of me is tempted to use some two-part epoxy, roll it out thin, and add the Barracuda system to my Leopard 2A7 EX. Just to see how it looks, and to hide some of the ugly. That paper towel is done. So I'll use the deck lid here as an example, since I haven't glued this on yet. So you take them on their own, they look about the same. But if you put them next to each other, the Vallejo Forest Green just feels a bit greener. When did this turn so aggressive? It's ending. We'll let it keep going. All right. So yeah, I'm just gonna basically take a piece of masking tape, put it across here, and then spray what I need to spray. You can, but we're not discussing seam filling right now. But Tamiya's stuff is typically lacquer based, so I'd stick with Tamiya's own thinner. But if you're looking for a brush-on putty of any kind, you want this. Let's try not to break the flow today, please. Okay, so as I was saying, gonna just put some masking tape across here loose. That way I can spray around it and not get anything in the driver's compartment. And then go back with a brush and kind of clean it up. Is that too wide or is that's just right? Let's see how we do here. Because the real vehicle actually has panels that fold up into a stack right here to cover the driver's compartment when it's in storage or in use, i.e. when they're getting ready to fire the missile system. Alright, that's actually better than I thought. I just hope I've got enough of the Iraqi sand as the base color, then we'll go back and fade it a little bit with some Tamiya deck tan. Because US sand is just a hair bit lighter than that. It's not as rich as the Iraqi sand. It feels a bit paler. So that's what I'm going to aim for. Should have enough. If not, I can go in with... I think Tamiya's wooden deck tan is pretty damn close to this. If a little warmer. Yeah, it's a little darker. We'll figure it out. We'll play it by ear. What's this? I've got so many colors mixed up around here, it's ridiculous. Actually, is that sand or is that flesh paint? I don't remember mixing this, but by God, I'm going to use it because it looks about right out of the box. Because I'm just a crazy maniac like that. And who is cooking something? Because it smells really good upstairs. Oh, that is some thick stuff. Let me thin that out. Somebody is making grilled cheese. Either that or I'm having stroke because somebody's making toast, you know? Yeah, this is what I'm going to use instead. I love it when I'm trying to find a solution to one problem and find something else. You know what, I think I mixed this up for the M60 Rise in 16 scale that I did. I think that's what this is. Yep, I really think that's what this is. Which means it's an appropriate color. require a couple coats, but we got this. I'm putting it on thin because I think I over-thinned it. And this model's been sitting a while, so God knows what's on it. I didn't bother cleaning it before I started painting. I'm just jumping in with both hands here. Spray some air over it to help dry. And try as I might, I wasn't able to keep the missile racks movable, but that's okay. We don't play with our models. It's the AFV Club M270. It's the A1 version as it was seen in Desert Storm. And then shortly after that, the US stopped using the system. I think it was superseded by the Avenger system on the Humvee and other methods. Just trying not to drop the vehicle. Starting to get decent coverage. Okay. I mean, anything that goes a bit sideways I can easily cover with chipping if I... no, believe it or not. It was an AIM-9 based weapon, but the missile on the ground was a little bit different than the one used. It was based on the AIM-9 LM. But there are some physical differences in the missile itself. What they are specifically, I couldn't tell you, but if you look at a picture of this one compared to one that's used on an aircraft, the differences are striking. My only real experience is with airborne ones. I think part of it is they may have a slightly larger rocket motor because they have to go from ground launch to altitude, whereas the AIM-9 specifically is already in motion on an airframe when it's fired. You can also find the turret being used as a naval defense weapon system and as a standalone emplacement. I don't know. I've never gotten into the Cobra that deeply. I'm sure there's many, many articles on Wikipedia that can fill in the blanks better than I can. Yeah, we'll have to touch up the driver's compartment a little bit. I think Korea, Israel, and some other nations still use it. Egypt. Getting the undersides now. So when you see me just spraying air and not paint, it's because I'm trying to dry it off. You can kind of see how there's a shiny way and then there's the dull area. Blowing the air over just helps clear it off that much quicker. That way I can put the second coat on. There we go. Actually, that couldn't have turned out better if I asked, because all I got to do is touch up the back of the seat here, do the seat cushions in khaki. Paint from a slightly downward angle so it doesn't get inside it. Well, it's not so much if I know or if I don't know. In this case, I honestly don't know because I'm more familiar with the AIM-9LM and the AIM-9X, not with the Chaparral variant, which has to meet Army's ground-to-air requirements. And I got overspray on the Humvee. I knew I should have moved it. That's okay. We can fix it. Considering I'm going to be using the airbrush, or not the airbrush, the hairspray technique on it, a little extra paint's not going to hurt. But I'll probably save that for another video. But essentially, you base coat the model in whatever camouflage you want, or whatever undercoat you want. absolutely douse the thing in hairspray, because hairspray is a water-soluble medium. So be sure your paints aren't affected greatly by water. And then you go back over it using another paint. And you want to get it, for the most part, you want to get it opaque, unless you don't need it to be. And then once that layer is dry, you essentially just take moist brushes, not like sopping wet, but just moist enough to reactivate the hairspray, and start brushing the paint off in the direction of the wear that you want. It's much more realistic. But to answer before, yes, this is a Badger airbrush. It is a Velocity. It was sent to me via Solway Studios by a member of his channel, because they had won it but had no use for it, and Solway was just told, give it to somebody who could use it. And he knew of the troubles I was having with my 20-year-old Warhorse. The AIM-9X is a good weapon system. The AIM-9LM is still very viable. The AIM-9X is just hyper-mobile is all. There's other things too, but I can't really talk about them openly. But if you... I'll say it again, if you just look up the videos on YouTube and look at the difference between the seeker footage and the sensitivity of the thermal camera in it, and it'll give you an idea of just how much more impressive the X is compared to the LM. We'll put you over here. Just touching up where I stupidly got sand overspray all over the vehicle when I'm not ready to put sand on it yet. There's that. No, that would be too easy. So, let me look at the picture again. Yeah, those are darker. Where is it? There we go. That'll work for the missiles. Major Havoc, not so much that. The 9X has an advantage. Again, you'll have to watch the videos to really know what I'm talking about, but I haven't really seen many other air-to-air missiles pull a 180 as soon as it leaves the rail. And the missile system itself is overall more maintenance friendly. There's certain things we had to do on the line that we don't have to do anymore. I'll have to look around. Maybe I'll get it out and hang it from my display behind me. But I actually have a seeker cover for an AIM-9LM. And yes, you do have to put those things on when the at least the LM shuts down, or else you can damage the seeker. That's why I find the end of Top Gun Maverick so funny. Knowing what I know those AIM-9s would never have worked, period. So here's that cover I was talking about. But we're probably going to save that for one of the last things. Let me touch up this back area here. Like I said, I can tell you just to look it up on YouTube. That's the easiest way for me to describe things. If it's still up and hasn't been taken down for one reason or another. I don't want to sound like the guys back in Vietnam, because honestly, yes, you will almost always need a gun, right? That was one of the design faults of the original F4 Phantom. They didn't put a gun in it. It's really there for last resort. Because if you're getting into a dogfight in today's modern airframes, shit's really going downhill. I mean, if F-16s back in '92 were BVRing MiG-25s with AIM-120s, it's more for ground support than anything. You'd be surprised what you can extrapolate from even the basic publicly available information to make a reasonably accurate model. It's when people start talking about the composition of chobham, and say if somebody posted the chemical makeup of the actual paint of the F-35 and the F-22. You don't need that in DCS, right? You don't need to know what the paint's made of. You don't need to know what the Chobham is made of to make a reasonably accurate model in a game. That's when shit starts getting illegal, is when people are posting that information. Where's my khaki drab? That is not khaki drab. There it is. I think that's it anyway. And there's some flat earth. Okay. Need to go do some Googling real quick, so give me just a moment. Not 720. Why am I looking up the 720 MLRS? I'm just trying to look up the driver's compartment to see if the seats were khaki or if they were that nasty ass black vinyl that's stuck to your legs. Even if you were wearing pants, it stuck to you. It looks like a earth colored khaki. Okay. No, but I have seen conversations on it dip into the realm of idiocy. If you go to Aircraft Resource Center and search back about 20 to 25 years, yeah, I know that's a long time. You'll see people talking about adding silver to the paint because there's a certain reflective quality to it in some photographs. It's not that it's silver. It's... okay, where did I put the flat earth paint that I had? There's no metallic in the paint, for starters. That's stupid if you want something to be radar transparent. Or if there is, it's not like we're thinking. That's rust. Okay, where did my flat earth paint go? Am I just being a moron, or am I being stupid? There it is. So, who here has been up close to an F-16 at an air show? Or any relatively modern aircraft that is not the F-22 or the F-35? Because the problem wasn't the color that they were running into. They were trying to match a certain... but they're trying to match a certain texture to the paint. And they're misrepresenting a sheen for an actual particle in the paint. And what they're seeing is go up to an F-16 next time you're at an air show, or even a museum. It is painted with a coating on the radome that has a particular texture and sheen to it, like a semi-gloss rubber, right? That is what they're trying to replicate, because the radome on the F-16 is painted with a radar transparent paint. Duh. Yet you've got an aircraft that's coated in material similar to that. So they're using metallics and silvers to try and replicate this, when it's in fact a property of the surface finish of the paint. And they're going totally the wrong way. So now you'll see there was a period in the mid to late 2000s, early 2010s, where everybody's F-22s and F-35s look like custom car metal flake paint jobs. And to me, it's hilarious. When in fact they're more or less trying to replicate an eggshell semi-gloss finish as opposed to a metallic finish. That's the best way I can describe it without getting into particulars. Not that I know a lot about the paint breakdown of it at all, but it's more that essentially the radar material is similar to putting rubber on a submarine for absorbing sound. They put a radar absorbing material which has a surface feel similar to a rubberized coating, but not exactly. And there you have it. But it's not rubber. So if your instructions call out for light and dark ghost gray or ocean gray or whatever colors they're painting them now, I think the F-35 is overall just gunship gray at this point, you'll be okay. If you want to make it look a little semi-gloss instead of dead flat when you're done, that's fine too. After a few runs in the wash rack and being scrubbed down with unauthorized green Scotch-Rite scrubby pads, most of the F-15s and 16s I worked on actually were more of a semi-gloss finish than gloss finish, or flat finish. Back in the 90s, any colorful squadron markings, right? When you're judging at a contest, right? Or if you go to a contest at all, you really want to piss off a judge? Find a picture of it up close so it's undeniable, right? After you've applied your squadron logo on the intake, especially on the 90s stuff where they were allowed to have like the full color patch on all the squadron jets, be sure you paint over just that decal with gloss after you're done sealing it and everything. Because on the actual aircraft, once they put the sticker on to keep it from flying off, they'd seal over it with gloss varnish. And it would be brush painted on just over the edges of it and everything, just to help stick it down. Same thing with the color on the tail. And any full color patch was done like that. Crew names, crew chief names, they were all basically just black vinyl cut letters that were stuck on the aircraft. Sometimes they'd be sealed, sometimes they wouldn't, but almost always the squadron emblem was sealed over with gloss. So that mixed with a little bit of this. Need to mix that up some more. Just like I think it's funny, and that's even like Star Trek models, right? Little factoid about Star Trek models if you run into anyone who really gets their craw up about that stuff. The Enterprise refit, you will see people argue left and right that the decals along the back, or not the decals, but the paint along the back is blue in one movie and green in another, or gray in another. No. It depends on if they're reusing footage from the motion picture or not. So any footage from the motion picture, the color will never match up from scene to scene because the paint was an early prismatic pearlescent paint. So it changed color depending on lighting conditions and angle. Right? After that, the model was dull coated because they were getting holes in it from the green screen process because it was gloss in the other films, the green and blue screen process. So what they did is they dull coated the model, which essentially color locks it, and it takes away that pearlescent effect for the most part, but you can still see blue here, green there, gray there whenever you're seeing the model. The model was never repainted. And a lot of it could also be attributed to, well, are you watching it on your 30-year-old TV, your 20-year-old TV? Is your color correction on? You know, a whole bunch of shit. So, when I did my refit, I used references of the model in plain light at the Christie's auction and sitting in the lobby of Jeff Bezos' whatever flight headquarters that is. $36170. I'm just seeing if I have that paint. Because I know the ones here at Hill are essentially all gunship gray. For a while they had the what is it that I'm looking for? They had those stupid patches in the paint job where the panel sealer was lighter gray than the airframe. Yeah, I don't have that color, I think. But I think they developed a sealer that was the same color, and they were able to get them looking uniform now. Yeah, I don't have that particular color. I know it's a lighter, warmer color. So, I am going to throw some black on the road wheels. Then we will seal it, let that dry. While that dries, we'll finish up the camo on the Humvee. So where's my NATO black or my black gray? But just to drive home a point, if everyone's done their job correctly, at least here at the depot for painting, or in your nations as well, when those airframes are painted, anything that paint has touched, whether it's the paint gun, your clothing, anything is collected and disposed of properly. Find a comfortable angle to do this. I glued the road wheels on because I didn't particularly feel like screwing with them, painting them all individually off the vehicle. This is going to be quick and dirty. This is starting to get a bit too fast for me. Let me switch things up here. Just give me one moment. Okay. I think that was a 3-hour mix, and I really didn't feel like listening to a lot more of that particular one. Oh, come on. Separate out. Okay. No, I wanted to minimize you. And you. Now we have sleeping cats all around us. Come on, where is it? There. All right. There we are. Let me know if this is coming through too loud or not. The player volume is different. Get the other side done, then I'll use a wider brush to do the actual surfaces. I'm not too keen on getting all of them front and back, because a lot of them would have just been sprayed over with sand, and then as they're driving through the desert, the road wheels are flexing, the paint's chipping off, all that kind of crap. We're going to be throwing some washes and some other things on this too. I'm I'm just glad to have 2 days off in a row where I don't feel like absolute garbage for once. I just wish the weather was a bit nicer so I could take advantage of it. Have glass is a much different paint than your standard airframe paint. Again, can't go into the particulars of it. It's a pain in the ass to clean. It's a lot rougher. I think there was a unit at Italy that got in trouble because they painted their airframes with it and they weren't supposed to. Yeah, there's something different about have glass. That's a completely different ball of cats. Have glass is not the standard F-35 paint or F-16. It's almost a leftover from when they were trying to make the F-16 more radar transparent. And it didn't work exactly like they wanted to. That hurt. I just got a shooting pain up into my left eye. Maybe I am having a stroke. You all get to watch. I'm kidding. But it's good to not feel like I have to cut my day up into chunks today to accommodate everything else I've got to do. It feels nice. I don't feel like I'm pressured to count my hours. I just think it's funny that I can't talk about certain things that I worked on, yet I can go to the museum near my house and pull a Will Smith and just go, you know. Because it's sitting there on the floor, plain view. Good progress so far. Let's get the clear coat on this guy and get it curing, and then we'll work on the camo on the Humvee. I just fled that too heavily because I couldn't see what the hell I was doing. Yeah, I think so. That's alright, this stuff soaks in and shrinks down pretty well. So that's what goes on when that does that. Okay. So I will unlock my face cam in a sec. Apparently when my airbrush compressor runs, it causes issues with the electricals that makes my face cam go and stop working. So, gotta find a new plug to plug the compressor into then. Because it's that, or I need a new surge protector because it's causing feedback issues. Okay, yeah, that still works. There we go. I'm back. Not frozen in time anymore. Yeah, I don't mind answering questions as long as they pertain to the conversation at hand. It's when they start derailing things that I am really having issues lately. I'm painting, so we're talking about paint and different things that, you know, different attributes and qualities on certain equipment. That all flows together. We're not talking about stuff like seam filling or construction right now, so. clean out the airbrush. I'll get the NATO black out, and we'll start doing more camo on the Humvee. Alex, thank you for the 1337 tip. Hope you're having a good day.
Alex tipped $13.37. Call the electricians.
No, it's just we had a power outage at the house once that blew a lot of really expensive electronics. They all got replaced, but ever since then I've got everything except my space heaters plugged into surge protectors. Don't ever plug a space heater into a surge protector unless you want a house fire. No, I haven't had a house fire. That said, whenever my compressor kicks on, it causes the camera on the computer, for some reason, to flub out, even though nothing else happens badly with the computer. I don't know. It's telling me that the surge protector has issues. Okay. So let me do this real quick. I want to take a move around break anyway. We're half an hour late for that. That'll let me get the paints and stuff I need too. I'll stand up, get that organized. This is looking really good. Doesn't have to be perfectly uniform on the sand, because we're going to be wearing and chipping around some of the hatches. But I'm happy with where this is right now. So let me set this aside. Put up the pause menu, and I'll rearrange the electrics for the airbrush compressor. So I'll be right back. I am back. So, we will paint the Humvee's camo, and then I will take a slightly extended break because, like I said, got a late start. I want to go make a sandwich after I do this. Drop. Exclamation point drop on the Twitch side. Once I'm done with the camo on the Humvee, I want to make a sandwich real quick, so... Let's bring up my photos. Oh, that's black and white. That's not good. I may just have to go get one of my other Humvee models and do the best I can to mimic it. That's what I'll have to do, which is fine. So let me go grab one real quick and I'll be right back. This one has not been weathered yet, but it's based on a prototype which never saw production. But the camo pattern's pretty standardized across the board. And I actually found a full walk around of the outside of this one. Spraying this paint as haphazardly as I was the sand, so this ought to go okay. Let's get this shaken up better though. And the camo doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to be hiding at least 80% of it. But also, we'll see what a difference a brand new airbrush can make over a 20-year-old one that's having air seal issues. see a difference. But your air pressures and paint mixes also play a big factor into how tight and neat your camo is. Also the angle of the airbrush. So like say you're holding your airbrush like this to the model, then you'll wind up getting that. And you see how this side is softer than this side is tighter. So when you're doing it, you want to make sure that your edge, you're spraying towards the inside of your blob, where your camo's going to be. And frequent cleanings of the needle. Just a brush with water or whatever thinner you're using also helps. Because once paint starts building up on the tip of that needle, you start getting spatter and more blobbing. And the pattern isn't as tight. Then the more you do it, the more you'll learn when to break your own rules and all that kind of stuff. Then as you fill the pattern, just be sure you've got your angles going the right way, so you're not overspraying outside the pattern. So far, not terrible. Okay, there's that. And I still don't know if I should have a door or two open on this one. I don't have any of the internal framing or anything like that to go with it. But there's all this stuff for like the launcher refills and stuff like that that I want to show off, so I'll figure it out. Somebody's commenting while I'm live. Oh. Yeah, somebody commented on the short of B12 from Stray. My camo pattern is not any means 100% correct. It's close. I've based it on the real vehicles, so. And most of them are painted exactly the same. Back in the day, the thought was you could take a 4-door soft top one, a cargo one, slap these doors and the roof on it, put the right equipment in it, and send it out. So with the pattern being standardized, they didn't have to worry about the roof matching or anything like that. They just send it and go. But another thing I need to look at on that picture, I noticed the headlights were taped over. So I need to see if the reflectors and turn signals and brake lights were also masked or painted or mudded over. I know the forward part of this is going to match up relatively close. Or not. Back to the pictures. Maybe one day I'll do the Humvee with the 4 AIM 120s strapped to the back of it. the idea I had going into this is I was going to do all like the prototype and the oddball Humvees. There we go. What's going on here? Having a bit of a flow issue. There we go. I think I'm getting too worried about being perfect when you're not going to see most of it, so I just want to make sure that whatever I do expose is looking good. Major Havoc, are you still in chat? blew the doors off. Or what's the saying they have in Humvees? Once this thing hits 65 miles an hour, you're gonna see some serious shit. Oh, Alright. Let's get this emptied, load up some NATO brown. And we'll clear coat that as well. I think I was just having some dry problems on the tip of the needle because the cleaner's flowing fine. Go. Okay. Let me shake up my NATO brown now, and then we'll get going on that. Or is this something else I mixed up? Because that's very red. That is something else entirely. No wonder that was separated from the rest. There we go. Note to self, pull the label off that one. So after I do the alien hind, I kind of want to keep up on an alien and helicopter theme. I have discovered files for Blackout from the 2007 Transformers on Cults 3D. And they look to be pretty film accurate. So I was thinking of making that one of the next big 3D print projects. Give any feedback on what you think with that. Should I make that a more priority project or work on finishing up a lot of the crap I got laying around the room here? Looking at it, it's got a ton of parts, which means it would take a good while to print. Which also means that while I'm printing it, I'd be able to get on top of a lot of the crap in the room around here. If I'm doing this right, you guys will see something pretty cool tomorrow. I want to do the hairspray tomorrow. That'll give this overnight to dry. Nose is itching. There we go. I'm just trying to plan out future projects, really. So if you guys think Blackout would be a neat one, let me know. The files are not expensive, so it wouldn't be too difficult for me to get them now and have ready for later. I just want to know if it's something you'd all be interested in. To just put my fingerprint in the paint. Oh, I made a mistake. Good enough for that. And yes, it will have the appropriate Wrangler tread tires on it. The ones we're seeing on Humvees now weren't a thing until more in the early 2000s. There's one more thing I need to paint. The frame. See if I can get these tires off easily. I can't, but that's okay. I'm just going to paint everything NATO black. Did everybody have a good weekend? Is this thing on? Actually, let me see if the rims were painted black or sand on this thing. They were sand, and looking at the tires, they just spray canned the whole rim on the tire. So that's what I'm going to do when it comes to painting it. Looks like the reflectors were uncovered and the headlight was uncovered. Okay. So we'll save those for last. But the rear ones... front ones are open, rear ones are not. Okay. Yes, you are being quiet. Makes me wonder if I'm not boring everybody. But I know some people have to get to sleep soon, like Alex. And Major Havoc. They're all about 7-8 hours ahead. Until the Tamiya kit came out in about 2003, Academy was the only company that did a kit that had anything resembling the earlier Wrangler tires used on the vehicle. Move these out of the way. Don't worry about painting over the tires. I want them to kind of be a chalky looking black anyway when all's said and done. NATO black is a color I typically use for doing tires and wheels on vehicles. Because it's not true black, it's got a brown hue to it, which most rubber tires are like that anyway. to spray the sealer, and then I'll make my sandwich. You think I should just put the pause menu up or stop for like 20 minutes while I eat my sandwich? Because I'm getting hungry. It's 4 o'clock. Okay, so just do this, the pause menu then. I just know it doesn't work well with the VOD for people who want to watch while they're doing something. No, I don't. It's kind of ew. Well, Easter is coming up, so pretty soon you can watch me eat peeps, but that's a completely different thing. I just want to get this nice and sealed up so tomorrow, right before stream, I can shoot it with hairspray, mask off the windows from the inside, paint it sand, and then we can start that business. You just keep falling in, so I'm going to take you off. I will do it this way. Do it the harder way, of course. Because I learned last time that if you spray it with hairspray and let it sit, the hairspray becomes somewhat permanent. And I used a Tamiya color over the top, which they're also a bit more resilient, so they're harder to wear through. On this one, I'm going to use a Vallejo color over the top over Tamiya. So the Vallejo, in theory, should prove to be a bit more permeable, allowing the hairspray to loosen up a lot easier. Especially if it's more fresh. Trying to figure out where to pick it up from. I'll just hold it by the bottom since I'm not painting it there. But you want to have a good solid layer of clear on it. Whatever your brand preference, doesn't matter. As long as it's hardened against water when it's cured. A lot of airbrushing today. Wasn't expecting to do this much. Honestly, I don't know what I was expecting today. put one of the YouTube mixes back on while I eat because that was close to the end. It was going to finish while I was off. And I'll be back. So, give me about 15-20. We'll be back and get going on some decals and working on the chaparral some more. Alright, we are back. Why does my phone keep going off? Okay. So we can go two ways. One way, no decals. Kind of boring. Other way, minimal decals. About what you'd expect. And I don't even know if the decals are going to work. Because the kit's so old. So we'll try one. If it comes free, we'll proceed. If it doesn't, then we'll just say screw it and no decal. Because the one in the picture has no markings on it that I can see. And instead of making a sandwich, I had some leftovers from last night. Baked ziti and a creamy tomato sauce. Yummy, 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 yummy. Thanks for hanging out, everybody who's still there. Actually, who all is in watching? I don't know. I can't even see right now. I think Alex went to bed. Don't blame him. Oh wow, the decal actually worked. Okay. See, I'm not even worried about these scratches right here. Well, you can't see them because of the glare. Because we're going to be chipping up the areas around all the footsteps and the doors and all that anyway. We're going to have a little fun with that. Let me get these decals going then, since they're working. I've also been trying to finish up an OV10 Bronco, but it started pissing me off again. Those decals were shattering. if the suspension looks familiar, this is based off of a cargo vehicle in use during the Cold War, especially late post-Korea, early Vietnam, which was also used as the basis for the M113. Welcome back, Flight Sim. Now, are there any other decals I need to put on that I'm missing? That I might be able to get access to easily. Big old placard on the inside of the driver's door. Should be able to get that there. Now, am I dumb or did I forget where I put my tweezers? I'm dumb. And the passenger door gets 11 and 12. Another neat thing, though, is I'll be able to use some of my Earth effects that I bought, because the picture I'm kind of referencing on was taken on a rainy day in Iraq, and the ground there was a much redder mud color. Not like Georgia clay, but not like a dark European gray either. Really? That just happened? Oh, I know what color we just painted this with. No wonder it's fucking up like that. Oh, this is gonna be fun. I think this is the mix I made for the YF-19. So it's part radome tan. That's why I thought it was fleshy. It's fine. It's just gonna take some careful work. Because I used Mission Models paints. And what do they like to do? They like to react negatively to decal setting solution. Yay! It shouldn't pose any long-term problems, just I gotta get past the decaling phase and seal it again. Just give it an extra layer of sealant. long as I don't touch it more, I'll be okay. But unfortunately, I touched that side. Right below the tube. I'm not seeing any decal callouts for the interior, so that's good. Alright. Excellent. So we're done with decals. I might save these for something, though. Let me see what I can do about cleaning this little mess up. We can hide some of it, considering what we're going to be doing to the model. That explains why it's scratched so easily. But I might be buying Stellar Blade on the PlayStation. And it's supposed to come out on PC soon, I think, if it isn't already. While these decals set up for a moment, I want to paint this. Where are my... And it's only the Radome Tan that seems to do that. All the other Mission Models colors seem to go okay when you use decal solution on them. But the Radome Tan just hates it. Either that or the white. I haven't tested which one specifically yet. There we go. Just taking care of the seam on the bottom of the barrel. Missile reload tube will be the same color as well. Boing! Fine, you want to do it that way? Let's do it that way. Definitely think that my interests are getting drawn in too many directions lately. either that or the things I'm interested in keep crossing over into other things I'm interested in. I probably should have airbrushed that. We'll do the second coat in airbrush. In the meantime, I'm going to give that a second coat of sealer. And we can start on the detail washes, so like the vents, grab handles, things like that. Even the acrylic washes I'm using react similarly to oil washes when it comes to gloss coats and such. So I can put them on over a gloss surface, and they'll be controllable in a way like an oil wash, where you can kind of work it and blend it and take it off as need be. In the meantime, what else can I tinker on? I'm waiting for shit to dry now. The Humvee has to be dry until at least tomorrow for the hairspray technique. We are at the 3-hour mark. What I could do, stop for now, let this dry, and then we'll come back, say in 4 hours, so about 8 o'clock. I'll do a nighttime stream, just do a late night stream, see what we get there. That'll give this time to cure. I can plan out the next steps to make sure there's not so many interruptions. Because I don't want to have to clean off the table and get something else started when I'm kind of set up for what I need right here. So let's plan on that. I'll be back at 8 p.m. my time, roughly. It's 4:14 right now. So yeah, 4 hours. What do you say? I know some of you will probably be asleep, and we'll see. We'll see who we can snag. But I think that's the plan for right now. So see y'all in about 4 hours. Thanks for watching.